Hi everybody, it's Nine from Nine's Corner. I hope you're doing well, feeling well. And to start off this reading, I'm going to put out our candle for each and every one of us. So guys, boy, oh boy, oh boy, we've had a hard week, and I personally have had a hard week. I've had a couple of deaths. One in particular is my uncle, who was just the kindest man, and we had my son, who's moved out with his girlfriend, just called me 2 days ago saying that they were sick and they've been tested for COVID. They should find out in the next day or two. So, and then there's 101 other things that happen in between. So it made me realize, I'm not the only one that's going through a whole lot, and probably people are going through a whole lot more than I, obviously, but a lot of us are dealing with mental health issues. And I believe that, that affects each and every one of us individually, and some people have an ability to cope. But during these times when it feels uncopable, we are all trying to search for ways to increase and help our mental health. So I'm just saying, you never know what's happening in other people's lives. So have a kind word. Reach out to people. I reached out to a friend I haven't spoken to for a while yesterday. I just said, hey, I know this is out of the blue. I just wanted to say, hey, I hope you're okay. And it reflects what I said. This is retrograde, so people are going to come back into your life, possibly. And so one of the things I did do to kind of escape all of it, to get away from the news, I shut down the news, the whole thing. And I watch those music react videos because I love music. And one in particular, I follow a guy named JVTV. And there's no, they go back and they watch videos, a lot of it from the 70s and 80s, which is my time. And there's no auto-tune. It reconnects you to songs that you have forgotten about. It introduces you to songs that you hadn't thought about. And I truly believe that music can save the soul. I mean, I've even watched documentaries and stuff about vibration and the sound vibration putting out fires, and there was a doctor years and years and years ago that was using vibration to cure cancer. So I believe there's a lot more coming, in the future towards that. But in the meantime, music is healing, and I would love for you to check him out, JVTV. He's really funny. He's really fun, I should say. And yeah, so I just want to start that off and say, hey, I'm thinking of you and your mental health, and I hope you're okay. Times are tough. It's a stressful time, but we're going to get through it together, as always. So I just thought, let's have a look at Donald Trump, because I was reading about how he had a meeting with Putin on June 1st. And supposedly they talked about the G7 and they talked about oil and didn't talk about the protests. Now, you guys know that I feel that Trump has a connection with Putin, and that Putin is guiding him, whether Trump knows it or not, towards destruction of the U.S. So, and I mean, even in when I was looking at I'm getting ahead of myself. In my very first video I ever put out on YouTube, it was about Donald Trump. And I watched it, even though I'm not on it. I just did cards. I was too nervous to put my face on the video the first time. And I had said that March would be destructive for him. That has always been the two times I said he could possibly walk away. It was March and August. August is still to come, guys. But I said that there would be a boom in August. 3 things would affect him. And I said the military would be helping against him, as well as some people within the government. And I do believe that has come to pass. So I want to know about Putin. I want to know, will he get to join the G7 once they supposedly do it in September? That'll be my first question. And the second question I'd like to ask, is, will the oil prices go up? Because I'm thinking if Putin was talking to Trump, then he is, Putin has had an oil spill in the Arctic. It's going to cost billions of dollars and 10 years at least for the environment to revamp itself. And an influx of oil money, an increase in the oil, would help the economy, therefore, I guess in theory, help Donald Trump. So let's look at the first question. Isn't that interesting? So here we have the lovers. This is Donald and Trump. This is Donald Trump and Putin. Yeah, they're definitely connected. There's a soul connection, and this is for sacrifice. There's a forced sacrifice. But then we have the magician. So here is Donald Trump, and he's trying to appease Putin by getting him into the G7. But this is my Ace of Wands, my Fred Flintstone. This is my, not going to take a card. So I believe that the G7 for September, it's still up in the air whether or not it's going to go through. Donald Trump is going to try, but I don't believe that he'll be able to do it. I think that this is going to be a possibility of Trump and Putin starting some kind of new project, maybe even possibly starting their own, not G7, but something of that kind. Like maybe they'll say, screw the G7, and we're going to have a meeting with Russia and India and all the ones that Trump wants. So I just get the feeling like, no, it's not going to come to fruition for the G7, but Trump and Putin are represented here by the magician, and they're going to try to figure out a new way to make this happen. I hope I'm wrong. Okay, and my second question was about the oil prices. So, yeah. We have the moon, so there's a lot of whatever we have, basically whatever Russia has told us about the oil spill, there's probably going to be more stuff coming out about it. The fact that, it is so bad and it's not hitting the news. It's like coronavirus and everything else just is out of the news. I mean, the media is supposed to be there to represent all stories and to make sure everybody knows what's going on. And it's like coronavirus was 24/7 hour news, and now it's nothing. He's looking at it. He is looking at what has come past for the oil, and he's looking at a way to try to figure out how to increase it. And the Six of Swords. I believe that, they're going to up the oil prices. This looks like Putin is going to be trying to get away from the oil spill, try to get away from all this bad publicity, and he will enter into a better time at this point. He's going to look for another, he is going to help increase oil prices. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go up to $100 a barrel or anything, but I think, they're going to be looking at, Putin's going to be looking at, if you increase the economy, if you increase oil prices, that does, well for everybody, but it'll help the U.S. economy, therefore help Donald Trump. So I think Putin, I'm worried about him because, one, I got him making a new deal with Donald Trump, and two, now I see him trying to figure out a way to up the oil prices, or he's going to be involved in doing two things: increasing the oil prices and to covering up this mess that he has over in the Arctic. Because if he's saying it's as bad as what it is, then it's probably worse. But what's killer is that you're not seeing any of this on the news. You're not getting this is an environmental issue that could be affecting us for the next 10 years in the Arctic, where it's melting. Lord Lipton. Okay, so I wanted to look at Antifa because Donald Trump said that poor 75-year-old man who was pushed by the police and then hit his head he was an Antifa, that he actually purposely tried to fall harder than what he did so that he could put off some kind of tracker or something. Like, this is just... Now, I don't know a lot about Antifa. The only thing I know about Antifa is that it's not an organization. Like, there's no top people. It's just sort of little mini organizations all around, that they're anti-racism, anti Ku Klux Klan, anti-white supremacist, and they're left-leaning. So Trump has blamed this man. I, as a person, without even reading the cards, feel like, no, that's not the case whatsoever. But let's just look at the cards and see. Was this man involved in the Antifa? And is Antifa playing a big role? Because let's face it, any organization will have your scattered people that will, you know, go against what the organization is doing, or the organization peacefully protesting, or any of that kind of stuff. So let's look and see. No. Ace of Hearts. So we're looking at an unhappy start of a situation. I think that this was a spiritual... this was almost like something that was spiritually destined to happen, to make people aware, to increase the awareness. It's sort of a continuation of what has started. You're looking at the GOP and Trump trying to figure out which way do they go. How do they navigate this current climate? And I think that they have a couple of options there. One being to cause strife, to cause fight, to put out misinformation, as they're going to continue to do, guys. And I know you're probably like, Nina, don't say it anymore. It's going to get even more boisterous and more dirty politics, and we're going to be hearing more about it. It's just going to get more and more heightened. So, yeah. I don't believe Antifa has a strong hold in this in any way, shape, or form, but the GOP is definitely wanting to put out that misinformation, and I think all roads, because I got that 2 of Wands, which way do you go? All roads lead back to Putin. Why is he having conversations with Putin? And I can't, like, I'm just like, why isn't the news going? Because it's like, I feel like that's something that should be like on the news, like big, huge. Yeah, okay. So the other thing I wanted to look at was defunding the police, because I know that that's a huge issue going on. A lot of misinformation going out about it, because everybody's saying, you got one saying defund the police, and then saying, if you get broken into your house, well then, if you don't have the police, well then that's white privilege. It made no sense to me. And then I was looking at other ones where they were saying, like, it's going to cause anarchy. But then there's Camden, and they actually defunded the police. And the more I looked into it, the more it seems that it's not like they're going to take all the police away and there's going to be no structure. It's about taking the amount of money that the overabundant amount of money that they give to the police and put it into structures that support mental health. And they're basically, the way I understood it to be is that if the police are 100%, then 50% of what they do is policing, and 50% has to do with all the other social things that we have to deal with. So I'm just going to look into the defunding of the police, because I think without explanation, without somebody giving you a clear-cut understanding of how this would work and what it means, because the GOP and all the right are going insane about this. They're saying, like, absolutely not, this is not going to happen. And it just seems like there's a lot of miscommunication, misinformation, and even I don't really have a handle on it, because depending on who you see or who's speaking, they're taking it from all different angles, and not all of them work. So let's just look and see. Will the U.S. have a defunding of the police? And I'm assuming, or I'm going to read it as the defunding of the police as a definition means that they would still have an authority, a police authority there, but there'd be retraining and more money going into mental health and social services. So let's have a look and see. Will that be the eventual goal, and will they attain it once the Democrats and try to get together and put out one message? Because that's really important. It's just too confusing. And in these times where everything is just so emotional and so, there's so much misinformation that nobody knows what to believe. So they really need to come out with a clear, concise understanding of what this actually is. Okay. So here we have, they're wanting to hold on to their authority, they're wanting to hold on to their power, and they're wanting to hold on to their money. So the police and the ones that are I guess more the GOP, I guess. But it's not just the GOP. There's a high number of people that don't actually, when they looked at it, because I think that's more to do with that they don't understand what it actually means and what that does. And I think they need to give out explanations and examples, like Camden. Oh, sorry. Then we have death. There is going to be a complete and utter transformation in the police force. But they right now, the energies that are flowing, they don't know which way to go. There's not a definite way of how to navigate this. And I think you have to kind of take stock of everything that has happened up till now and figure out how to do that for the future. So they're going to be trying to figure that out. But I definitely feel like the death card being a transformation and the fact that they'll have a choice means that there is going to be some change within the police. And believe me, you guys, that doesn't have to happen just in the United States. That has to happen anywhere where you have authority. There has to be a check. So my last question I want to know was about all the mail-in ballots, because I was listening to one story where they were saying how they received their ballot and the envelope was stuck together. So there was no way of like peeling the envelope open, and you can't put it like it'll devalidate. Okay. Start again. It will, if the envelope is messed with in any way, it won't be valid. Now, I will say here in Canada, when we do elections, and when I was in Newfoundland, I actually helped out at some of the elections. And the way they did it is that whoever was, like, wherever you were counting the ballots, we had a representative of all the different parties that watched over the ballot counting. So I'm thinking that with all the stuff that's happening in the U.S., and I understand that, I guess there's only so much that you can do against the GOP because they're the ones that have the power right now. I don't think that anybody would be able to disagree with having representatives of each party to do to have an overall look of the ballots, just to make sure things are being done fair. I'm just saying that is a possibility. At least ask for something, because I feel like everybody's giving lip service in the Democratic Party. They're all giving lip service, and it's sort of like they feel like it's a fait accompli that they'll get the election, and that's probably the case. But they have to start putting actions and actual laws and actually doing stuff. Nobody needs to hear, I suppose we do need to hear I'm sorry's and all that kind of stuff, but we don't. It's like every 4 years, it's the same thing. It's the same, like, oh, we're going to put this policy forward, and it makes it seem like there's going to be change. But then it dies in the Senate. It dies. It just doesn't go anywhere. So let's have a look and see what's going to happen with the election ballots, because that is going to affect how this election's going to go down. So will they be able to set up the ballots so that the election is unfair? My goodness. This must be the card, the card du jour, the card of the day, because this is more or less just not sure, got 2 paths to go down, have to figure out which way we're going to be going down. So I think right now, there's definitely plans and action in place to hurt the ballots. Here's the Chariot. You're looking at, again, which way is it going to go? Is it going to go positively or negatively? But then I'm seeing the Three of Cups. So this is celebration, but celebration for whom? I'm going to leave out my Three of Cups because I'm not 100% sure how that would work in, because obviously it means there's a celebration, but is that to celebrate the Republicans being able to mess with the ballots, or is that celebrating the ballots being done fairly? So let's just pull a clarifier. Let's just pull a clarifier. Ace of Swords. So, oh Lord, guys. They are going to be trying to do what they can to cut the ballots. They are going to be doing what they can to hold the ballots back. But this is also representative of the truth coming out. So I think even if they are able to accomplish it, it's going to come out. And like I've said to you before, even if Trump was to steal his way through, he will not, and I repeat, not become president in January of 2021. So yeah, some people need to get action behind those ballots, because Donald Trump, like, think about it. Look at what Donald Trump, Barr, and the whole GOP are willing to do in front of our eyes. Can you imagine what they're doing behind us? That's guys, crazy times coming up, but we will be okay. So I'm glad I got on and did a reading now. I was feeling kind of sad, and I think I'll go back and listen to some music. So check out JVTV if you want. And if not, listen to some music. And if you guys have any suggestions for music that I should check out, put them in the comments too. Or if you have any questions or any, if you want me to read about something specific, ask. If you want me to read about something that's not politics, I don't mind. I'll add on. I don't mind putting a little pop culture here and there in between. So just putting it out there. So wishing you light for your darkness and wishing you good mental health. Take care.